everybody, this is Miss Beachy from your WCA Earth Science class, and I'm doing a video tutorial today on your virtual fracking lab. So that's what we're going to be looking at on your lesson planner. I'm going to click on that, open it up. Excuse me. So this is on Unit 6, Lesson 6, and let's see here. Actually, I don't have the correct one. Unit 6, Lesson 5. My bad. The submission is in Unit 6, Lesson 6. So if I click on this and open it up for you guys, it's going to redirect me to that Vega Viewer login. And it's going to talk a bit about the fracking process with you guys. Now, for this one, there is no lab sheet that goes with it. So I have actually created my own. So I'm going to ask that you guys go to my website. And remember that you can access my website by looking at the pushpin icon at the top of the screen. And when you do that, that will bring you to my website, which will look like this. Okay, and you're going to click on Earth Science A 2019 at the top. And as you scroll down, to make this kind of move and drag this around here for you, down at the bottom here, you will see a document called the Fracking Portfolio document. So you can go ahead and just open this up. It's going to open it up like this. And you can download that into Microsoft Word to use. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And when you download it, you'll have to open the document, make sure that you enable editing, and then we'll bring that one over and you guys can kind of see that you can write directly into these boxes, right? So you're going to be looking at 3 different sites, and you're going to be analyzing those sites to see which one makes the best site to do your fracking. So the first thing you're going to do is write a description of each of the sites, including where it's at, the vegetation and population in that area, and if it's close to an aquifer. And then we'll see, you're going to answer these questions for each one of your sites. You know, what are some of the worst environmental risks for that site? Could choosing the site cause an increase in seismic activity? How might choosing the site impact people living nearby? How would choosing the site affect wildlife? And is this a good site to select? Why or why not? Do this for each of the 3 sites. And once you get to, all 3 of them done, you're going to decide which one of these sites would you pick? What are some of the benefits and risks of choosing this site? And why would you choose it? Because you'll have to think about the things. Sometimes you have benefits, but you also have risks. Not everything you do is going to be completely free of harm. So you have to try to mitigate. Remember that word we've been talking about in class? Mitigate the damages or the harm that might be caused from doing this activity to extract natural gas from this shale. So going back to that Vega Viewer, this one here. Yep. Sorry about that. I had 3 different windows open. We're going to go down, kind of follow it to the next slide where it says lab activity. And it's kind of a weird slide because all it says is lab activity site selection. And this is where you're going to choose your different sites. So here it says, select your site. You scroll down, you can hit continue a few times. Go to select your site. Go over here to more, and then you'll have 3 site options. Okay, so we have the 3 site options. I just made the screen a little bit bigger because I couldn't see everything. But you'll start with site number 1. Now remember with that data table, the first thing is write a description of the site, including location, vegetation, and population, and if it's close to an aquifer. This is where you're going to find the site description. So I put down that it's close to a small town, there's moderate vegetation, a low population, and it is close to an aquifer. Okay, so that's what I would put here. Close to a small town, moderate vegetation, low population, and close to an aquifer. Okay, so that's what you're going to do there. Then I'm going to go ahead and select that one. And the second part of your data table says, what are the biggest environmental risks? And you'll see on this chart here, the ones with the red and the orange are your biggest environmental risks. So I would include aquifer contamination, groundwater contamination, and seismic activity in the top 3 environmental risks. So in my chart, I'm going to go ahead, whoops, there we go. I'm going to go ahead and include those here, okay? So remember that was, again, aquifer contamination was the first one. Another thing it said here was groundwater contamination and seismic activity. Okay. Now the next question was, could choosing the site cause an increase in seismic activity? Kind of already said that it did, but let's go ahead and look through this part here. So it says the aquifer and fracking are in close proximity with less cap rock separating them. The aquifer provides drinking water for citizens in the area, including the residents of the town. So that, to me, kind of is a red flag. It says, how might choosing this site impact people living nearby? Well, we just got done saying it might contaminate the groundwater, the water supply for people living nearby. Okay, so that's one way in which it could affect people. So the next one says groundwater contamination, which is kind of what was talked about in the previous slide. It says fracking wastewater is sent for treatment to a public wastewater treatment plant. Concerns have been raised regarding the treatment plant's capacity to remove all the contaminants before water is released into local sources. So saying not only is it being contaminated, but it's also possible that they're not going to be able to remove those contaminants. Water stress. The aquifer provides plenty of water to meet both requirements of fracking and operation and human needs. That's actually kind of a positive thing. They don't have to bring water in. There's plenty of water to go around for the operation and for people. There is a lack of fracking depth. The high pressure of the water injection at lesser depth increases the risk of seismic activity. So that's another thing to add here. Could this increase the risk of seismic activity? And the answer is yes, it could increase the risk of seismic activity. And finally, the surface impacts. It says the site is situated on relatively barren land. The impact on local flora, which is plant life, and fauna, which is animal life, is likely to be low. So you would continue here by saying low impact to plants and animals. Okay? So now we've kind of filled out that first part for site number 1. And we have to decide if it's a good site to select, why or why not. You may want to come back to that like after you've done the other 2 so you can kind of compare them. So I'll leave that blank for now, but I want you, after you've completed the other 2 columns, to come back to it and decide if you think it's a good site, why or why not. And then again at the bottom, you'll pick which site you've decided on here, what the pros and cons of that site is, and why you chose it. Complete this data table, save it, submit it in the next lesson in your Dropbox, and that's all you need to do for this portfolio. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to give me a call at extension 2204, or you can always send me a webmail. I hope you guys have a great day.